Ladies and gentlemen, imagine for a moment that you're standing at the edge of a beautiful, serene lake. The water is calm, reflecting the beauty of everything around it, trees, mountains, and the vast sky above. Now imagine that a sudden storm rolls in. The winds pick up, the sky darkens, and the once peaceful water is now choppy and unpredictable. This lake, much like your life, can be a place of calm and peace when you protect it. But when you let too many people throw stones into it, sharing too much, too soon, without caution, it can become turbulent, hard to navigate, and sometimes even dangerous. We live in a world that often encourages us to share everything, our thoughts, our dreams, our struggles, and even our fears. Social media, friendships, and relationships push us to be open, to connect, and to be vulnerable. But what if I told you that there are some things in life, sacred things, that you should never share with anyone? What if some parts of your journey are too precious to expose to the world? Today I'm going to explore the importance of protecting certain aspects of your life. The things that should remain sacred and guarded, and why keeping them private might just be the key to your peace, happiness, and success. Let's dive into these essential truths together. There are wounds within us all that are so deep, so intimate, that they cannot be understood by the world. These are the kinds of pains that we carry in silence, not because we fear to speak of them, but because their weight is too much for others to bear, and their significance is too sacred to be casually shared. When we experience deep emotional hurt, loss, or betrayal, it can feel as though we're carrying a weight that others cannot comprehend. In moments like these, the instinct may be to reach out, to confide in someone, to share what we're going through. Yet not everyone is equipped to bear the burdens of others. When we open our wounds too widely, we risk exposing our vulnerability to those who may not handle it with the care it requires. Not every listener has the capacity to understand or support the healing process. There are some who listen not to comfort, but to judge. Their ears are not filled with empathy, but with judgment. In sharing such raw and personal aspects of ourselves, we open ourselves up to criticism, even from those who claim to care about us. People in their brokenness sometimes find it easier to tear others down than to lift them up. We can't forget that no matter how well-meaning someone may be, they are still imperfect. Their advice might not come from a place of wisdom, but from personal bias, misunderstanding, or even insecurity. Moreover, in a world that often encourages oversharing, there is a growing tendency to expose every aspect of our lives to public scrutiny. Social media has amplified this tendency, with everyone feeling the pressure to be open about their struggles and their pain. While there can be healing in speaking out, we must also recognize that there is a time and place for sharing certain aspects of our lives. Publicly airing our deepest wounds may not bring the healing we long for. Instead, it can often lead to pity, manipulation, or even exploitation. There's a danger in making our brokenness a spectacle for the world to see. Vulnerability can be a beautiful thing when it's shared with the right people and in the right context. But when exposed to the wrong environments, it can lead to harm rather than healing. Our deepest wounds are often the ones that require the most time and care to heal. They are the scars that define who we are, but don't need to be on display for the world to see. These wounds require a tenderness and a privacy that only God truly understands. Only He can see the full extent of the pain we carry and knows how to heal it. It is in the quiet moments with God where we can pour out our hearts without fear of judgment that true healing begins. There in His presence we find the comfort and restoration that no other human being can offer. The healing of deep wounds is a sacred journey, and it is one that needs the careful guidance of wisdom, the embrace of grace, and the protection of trust. In conclusion, not every wound is meant to be shared with others, for some are sacred and too personal to be exposed. Instead, we must trust that there is a time for everything and a space for our pain to be healed by the one who understands it most intimately. Money is often a source of great stress and conflict in our lives, and when it comes to sharing details about our financial situation, wisdom tells us to be cautious. Whether we have an abundance of wealth or find ourselves struggling to make ends meet, there are dangers in exposing the intimate details of our finances to others. Our financial status, whether it's prosperity or lack, carries with it an emotional and psychological weight that should not be casually shared with just anyone. Sharing such details can invite misunderstanding, judgment, and envy from others, none of which lead to peace or positive outcomes. For those who have financial abundance, there is the risk of arrogance or pride that can easily accompany the display of wealth. The temptation to boast or flaunt what we have may lead to the alienation of others or foster unhealthy competition. The world can become obsessed with material success, and in doing so, we may be pressured to keep up appearances or even exaggerate our wealth. But the true value of a person lies not in their possessions or the number of zeros on their paycheck. It's important to recognize that wealth is fleeting, and by sharing too much of it, we risk losing the deeper, more lasting relationships that are built on character and kindness, not material wealth. On the flip side, when financial hardship strikes, there is the potential for others to look down on us or treat us differently. Poverty, though it should never be a source of shame, can sometimes become the lens through which others see us, distorting their perception of our worth. When we share our financial struggles, it opens the door to judgment from those who may not understand the complexity of our situation. People might make assumptions about why we are struggling, often overlooking the underlying factors at play, such as health issues, family responsibilities, or unforeseen crises. This kind of judgment can make us feel even more isolated or embarrassed, which only deepens our distress. Even the act of seeking financial advice from others can be tricky. While some might genuinely wish to help, others may have their own motives, offering advice that is more self-serving than beneficial. People often try to shape others' financial decisions based on their own values without understanding the full picture of what's right for someone else. Financial advice, especially when shared without the proper knowledge or consideration of someone's unique circumstances, can do more harm than good. There's also the matter of envy. The Bible cautions us against coveting what others have, and this principle extends to how we handle our financial lives. When we share our wealth or lack of it with the wrong person, it can lead to envy, resentment, or bitterness. Envy has the potential to breed conflict and disrupt peace in relationships, which is why it's so important to keep financial matters private. The world's perspective on money is often skewed, and when we involve others in our financial life, we run the risk of inviting unhealthy emotions into our relationships. Ultimately, our financial situation should remain between us and those we trust deeply, those who have proven their loyalty and care, who understand the sanctity of privacy, and who can offer support without judgment. We must remember that our true worth is not measured by what we own, but by the integrity, character, and compassion with which we live our lives. Money in all its forms is temporary. Relationships, trust, and integrity, these are the treasures we should protect. In life, we often face moments when we are ready to take the next step, to make a change, or to follow a new path that we believe will bring us growth and fulfillment. It's a time of hope, ambition, and anticipation. However, sharing these plans prematurely can sometimes be a mistake, and wisdom teaches us to hold our next move in silence until time is right. The truth is, not everyone around us will support our dreams. Some will misunderstand our vision, while others might even try to sabotage our efforts knowingly or unknowingly. This is why it's crucial to guard our intentions and only share them with those who will respect and encourage them. When we speak about our plans too early, we open ourselves up to doubt and criticism. Many of us have experienced the well-meaning but discouraging words of others when we share something we are passionate about. People might tell us why our plans won't work, why we're being unrealistic, or why we should play it safe. In these moments, our dreams can feel fragile, and the weight of such doubt can cause us to hesitate or even abandon our vision altogether. What began as a spark of excitement can be extinguished by the cold waters of skepticism. This is why it's wise to keep our plans under wraps until we are strong enough to pursue them on our own. Moreover, revealing our intentions too early can attract unwanted attention. In a world that thrives on competition, not everyone who listens to our plans is our ally. Some might pretend to encourage us only to use our ideas to further their own agenda. Others may take advantage of our openness to manipulate or undermine our efforts. When we're in the planning stages, we are vulnerable to such actions. Those who may seem supportive can quickly turn into rivals, especially when they see us moving forward with an idea they wish they had first. By keeping our plans private, we minimize the risk of having our ideas stolen or distorted. There's also the element of timing. Our plans may be sound, and the desire to move forward might be strong, but the world around us might not be ready for them yet. When we speak too soon, we may open ourselves up to rejection because the conditions aren't right and people may not yet be prepared to support or understand what we are doing. Sometimes our plans need time to mature. The right opportunity must present itself, and until it does, it's better to keep our dreams close, nurturing them quietly until they are ready to be revealed. Finally, there's a personal strength that comes from keeping our plans to ourselves until the moment is right. It's an act of faith, trust, and patience. By holding our intentions in silence, we cultivate a deep sense of purpose and resolve. We allow our vision to grow in the quiet space between us and God without interference from the doubts and judgments of others. And when the time comes, we will be able to present our plans with clarity, confidence, and conviction, knowing that they were born in the silence where they were protected and strengthened. In conclusion, the next step in life may be the most important one, but sharing it too soon can be detrimental. By guarding our intentions, we protect the dream from premature judgment, sabotage, and the pressures of the world. Only when the time is right should we step forward with our plans, confident and prepared to take the next step with clarity and purpose. Family is a precious and sacred part of our lives, yet it is also the most vulnerable. It's the place where we experience love, joy, and support, but also where we face challenges, conflict, and imperfections. Every family has its struggles and flaws, and these can be deeply personal. Sometimes, when things are difficult at home, we feel the urge to speak out, to share with others what's happening behind closed doors. But there is wisdom in keeping certain aspects of our family's life private, especially when it comes to their flaws and mistakes. Exposing these flaws can cause more harm than healing and break the trust that holds the family together. When we share the weaknesses or problems of our family with others, we risk creating a rift that might never heal. It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment and let anger or frustration lead us to speak ill of our loved ones. We might vent about a disagreement, a problem, or a struggle, and in doing so, we may inadvertently create a narrative that is unfair to those involved. The more we talk about our family's flaws, the more we allow others to view them through our lens. And often the judgment of outsiders can be harsher than the reality of the situation. We may be upset in the moment, but when the dust settles, we realize that airing out our grievances to others wasn't the right decision, and it only caused unnecessary tension or misunderstanding. There's also the risk of betrayal. Family, by its very nature, is built on trust. When we reveal private matters about family members to outsiders, we breach that trust. It may feel like we are simply seeking comfort or understanding, but the people we share our frustrations with might not keep that information as sacred as we think. Gossip can spread, and what was once a private matter becomes something that others know about without the context or understanding needed to offer real support. Our family members may not feel safe or respected, and the damage to those relationships can be lasting. Furthermore, family members are often the ones we rely on for support, encouragement, and love. Sharing their flaws with others can change how people perceive them, and it can harm the trust that has been built over years. When others know too much about the private struggles of our family, it can change their opinion of them in ways we cannot control. Once words are spoken, they can't be undone. What we share in anger or frustration may color how others interact with our loved ones, even long after the situation has passed. Finally, sharing the flaws of our family with others can undermine the healing process. Every family goes through ups and downs, and no relationship is without its difficulties. But part of the healing is learning to work through those challenges in private with love, patience, and understanding. When we share every detail with others, we risk turning a private matter into a public spectacle. It prevents us from working through our issues in the right way, and it can hinder our ability to repair relationships or find peace within the family. Instead of seeking help from those outside the family, it is often wiser to approach the issues with care and resolve within the safe confines of the family unit, or with a trusted professional who can help without creating division. In conclusion, our families are sacred, and their flaws are part of the journey we all go through together. Protecting the privacy of these imperfections is an act of love and respect. By guarding the sanctity of family, we allow relationships to heal and grow stronger without unnecessary external judgment or interference. Our family's flaws are not for the world to judge. They are for us to work through with patience, grace, and understanding, just as we would want for our own shortcomings. There are moments in life when we feel a strong sense of calling, a desire to pursue a particular path, or a vision of something greater that we are meant to accomplish. It could be a dream to start a business, a vision to make a difference in the world, or a calling to serve others in a unique way. These personal callings are often born in the quiet spaces of our hearts, whispered by God or cultivated through years of experience and growth. However, sharing these deeply personal callings with others too soon can sometimes cause more harm than good. When we reveal our dreams before they are fully formed, we open ourselves up to misunderstanding, criticism, and even discouragement from those who may not fully grasp the importance or timing of our vision. The truth is that not everyone around us will understand or appreciate the vision that we feel so strongly about. Others may look at our dreams through their own lens of experience and might not be able to see what we see. Their words might unintentionally reflect their own fears or limitations, rather than offering the encouragement and understanding that we need. By sharing our personal calling too early, we expose ourselves to their doubts and limitations. It's easy for someone to look at a dream from the outside and declare it impractical or unrealistic. They might not see the depth of passion or the plan that has been carefully laid out in our hearts. And when we listen to such discouragement, it can cause us to second-guess ourselves, sowing seeds of doubt where confidence should be growing. There's also the issue of timing. Sometimes our dreams and callings need time to mature before they can be fully realized. When we share them prematurely, we might unintentionally set ourselves up for failure. The world is not always ready for the visions that we have, and the conditions we need for success may not yet be in place. This doesn't mean that the dream is wrong or unworthy. It simply means that the right moment for it to be brought to fruition has not yet arrived. If we share our calling before the time is right, we may face rejection, opposition, or confusion from those who don't understand the vision. Instead of rushing to share our dreams, it's often better to nurture them in private, allowing them to grow in silence and strength before stepping into the light. Another danger in sharing our calling too early is the potential for others to steal or misinterpret it. When we speak about our dreams with too many people, we open the door for others to take advantage of our ideas. Some might use our vision to further their own agenda, while others may simply not appreciate the sacredness of our dream. What began as something deeply personal can quickly become diluted or distorted by the opinions and actions of others. This can lead to confusion, frustration, and even betrayal, especially if we realize that our calling has been misunderstood or exploited by others. Finally, there is a spiritual aspect to consider. Sometimes our calling is something that God has specifically placed on our hearts, and the process of stepping into it requires us to trust Him completely. Sharing it too soon can disrupt that trust as we start seeking validation or approval from others instead of relying on God's guidance. The process of fulfilling our calling is not about seeking others' applause, but about being faithful to what God has called us to do, regardless of how it is perceived by the world. When we keep our dreams close to our hearts, we protect the sacred nature of that calling and allow God to shape it in His perfect timing. In conclusion, there is wisdom in keeping our personal calling to ourselves until the time is right. By holding our dreams in trust, we give them the space to grow, mature, and come to life in their own time. Sharing them too early exposes them to misunderstanding, criticism, and the influence of others who may not see the value of the vision. It's better to wait for the right moment when we are ready, when the world is ready, and when God's plan for us is clear. Only then will we step confidently into the calling that has been placed on our hearts. There are some things that are simply meant to remain private, and one of the most sacred areas of our lives that should be protected is our personal faith journey. Our relationship with God is deeply personal, and sharing every intimate detail with others can sometimes undermine the purity of that relationship. When it comes to the matters of our heart, especially our spiritual growth, there are certain aspects that should be reserved for personal reflection, prayer, and communion with God. We must be mindful of how much we share, as not everyone around us will understand, nor will they always have the best intentions when they hear about the most vulnerable parts of our faith. Sharing the struggles we face in our spiritual lives can sometimes open the door to judgment rather than support. It's easy to feel vulnerable when we are in a season of spiritual dryness, doubt, or difficulty, and we might think that sharing these moments with others will provide the understanding and comfort we need. However, others might not respond with the compassion or empathy we hope for. Some may judge us for our struggles, assuming that we are not as faithful or committed as we should be. They might question our relationship with God or offer advice that, while well-meaning, doesn't speak to the deeper issue. The truth is, our spiritual walk is unique, and what one person might find helpful, another might not. It's important to remember that while community and fellowship are vital in our faith journey, not every moment of struggle needs to be aired for others to evaluate. Furthermore, sharing too much about our spiritual journey can sometimes lead to pride or self-righteousness. We might begin to speak more about our experiences, our knowledge, and our understanding of God's will, and in doing so, we risk becoming more focused on the approval of others than on the actual relationship with God itself. The Bible speaks about the danger of making a show of our faith, particularly in Matthew 6:1-6, where Jesus warns against practicing righteousness in front of others to be seen. Our faith is not something to be used to gain recognition or approval. It is a private matter between us and God. By keeping certain aspects of our spiritual journey to ourselves, we ensure that our relationship with God remains authentic and centered on His will, not on the applause of others. Moreover, sharing too much about our faith can create division rather than unity. People might not always agree with our understanding or interpretation of Scripture, leading to disagreements or even tension in relationships. The journey of faith can sometimes be misunderstood by those who may not share the same beliefs or values. Instead of offering encouragement, the sharing of personal spiritual matters might result in conflict or confusion. The diversity of belief and perspective within any community is real, and while it's important to be open and loving, it's also necessary to protect the sacredness of our own faith journey. Lastly, not everything about our spiritual journey is meant to be shared, because some parts of our relationship with God are private and sacred. These are the moments when we are in deep prayer, when we hear His voice clearly, or when we experience His love in a way that is personal and unique. To share these moments too freely can dilute their significance. These are intimate moments between us and our Creator, moments that require quiet reflection and personal devotion. By keeping these experiences private, we preserve their sacred nature, allowing them to deepen our relationship with God without the need for validation from others. In conclusion, our faith journey is one of the most sacred and private parts of who we are. While it's important to share with others in community and fellowship, there are aspects of our relationship with God that should remain between us and Him. By protecting the sanctity of our spiritual journey, we maintain its authenticity, protect ourselves from judgment and pride, and preserve the intimacy of our relationship with God. Not everything about our faith needs to be shared, and in keeping certain things private, we allow them to flourish in the quiet and personal spaces of our hearts. In conclusion, the wisdom of knowing what to keep private is a powerful tool in maintaining healthy relationships, protecting our peace of mind, and preserving the integrity of our personal journeys. Whether it's our financial matters, family struggles, personal dreams, or spiritual walk, some aspects of our lives are too sacred, too vulnerable, or too precious to share too freely. By keeping these parts of ourselves close, we not only protect them, but also allow them to grow and develop in their own time and space without the influence of doubt, judgment, or unnecessary interference. Let us remember that there is strength in silence, and in safeguarding what is most important to us, we create a foundation of trust, peace, and self-respect. Thank you for taking the time to reflect on these thoughts. I wish you the best of luck in your journey, wherever it may lead. May you have the wisdom to know when to speak and when to remain silent, and may you find peace in guarding the sacred parts of your life. Good luck, and thank you once again for your attention.